Let's listen to Dan Bongino and Kash Patel right here.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I know it's hard work.
Now, there's a lot going on here. Let me be clear, okay? Let me be very, very clear that I am not questioning what they've seen. I'm questioning their approach. Both of these guys spent years talking about how corrupt the system was. They both became incredibly successful and rich by doing that. Now they're talking down to people because we doubt what they're saying. I'm not questioning whether Epstein did or didn't kill himself right now. My problem is how both of these guys pretended to be speaking for the people all of these years, and now suddenly, because they work for the government, they're now talking down to the same people for asking the same questions that these guys got famous for asking. That's my problem here. Your answer is, and again, let's listen to Kash Patel's answer one more time.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been...
So people have the right to their opinion, but as someone that's worked all of these things, my opinion matters more. When you were calling this stuff out, Kash Patel, you were calling people out that claimed that they were qualified. You're the one that said, why aren't they releasing the Epstein files right now? What's the holdup? You were calling it out. You were on podcast. You were talking shit just like I'm talking right now. You didn't care about the process and how qualified people were when you were calling all this shit out. You didn't care about the fact that these people had more information than you, but now we're supposed to care that you have qualifications? Why don't you sit there and go, yes, I understand people question this, and I totally respect that because I have been in that same situation, questioning all of this, and everyone has the right to question everything that we have seen for the last decade plus because this system has been corrupt, and it's very corrupt right now. Now, based on what I've seen, I am confident he can say it that way. I'm still not saying that will come off the right way. It comes off a lot better than you saying, well, I am qualified to make these assessments and I know more about. Fuck off. You got here by being a talking head. You got here by calling this shit out and questioning the legitimacy of everything. And now suddenly, you guys are smart enough to realize nobody's going to believe you. You guys... Dan Bongino's the biggest podcaster in the world. He knows people aren't going to believe this. Why are you talking like we should just believe you at face value? Tell us why you're saying that. Give us some actual substance behind it. Like, you know we're not going to believe it. These guys are at the top of the fucking food chain in this world. I'm a nobody. And I'm smart enough to realize that nobody's going to believe this shit. This is the same type of decision making where the developers of fucking Fortnite put an AI Vader in and gave the internet the power to do whatever they want and not realizing everybody was going to make racist jokes about it. How do you not know that? And how do you not know that people are not going to believe this? Of course these guys believe. They know that people weren't going to believe this. This is a terrible look. Now, again, I will urge people to go watch the entire interview. I think it's on the Fox News YouTube channel. It's a pretty good interview overall. Both of them do I would say I would give the overall interview a good 7.5, 8 out of 10. It's a pretty good interview if you listen to everything they're saying. But this Epstein stuff is terribly handled by them. And they're answering it from a perspective like, they don't know people are going to be pissed and not believe them. It's a very tone-deaf way of approaching this. Why are you talking down to people and not to the people? Dan Bongino, the #1 podcaster in the world, is talking from a place of an elitist standpoint. Listen to what he fucking says. Listen to how Bongino says this.
You know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file.
This is exactly what you questioned. This language and that behavior is exactly what you questioned before you became part of the system. Why am I supposed to believe you when you didn't believe the previous people that were saying this, Dan Bongino? Why should I believe you? Why should I believe you, Kash Patel, when you said, I'm going to pull fucking Kash Patel's shit up and show you what this guy said about the Epstein files and all that other bullshit. This guy right here ain't the same guy. This ain't the same guy.
You need a 24/7 declassification office, whatever you want to call it. Transparency, truth, whatever, I don't care. Sits in the White House, reports directly to you, and you take incoming from the United States of America. I want JFK. I want the 9/11 files. I want this. I want that. All the FBI, and this is a tool, this is something we didn't cover. What the deep state uses the most to cover up their corruption is an illegal application of the classification system. Remember the Lovebirds text from, this is a beauty, the Lovebirds text from FBI, DOJ land, Russiagate, Strzok and Page were texting each other. Who they were running the Russiagate investigation against Trump. They were the head of the counterintelligence unit at the FBI, and they're having an extramarital affair together. Can't make this stuff up. They're sending each other texts about how much they hate Trump and are going to create an insurance policy to stop Trump. Then we finally find those text messages. You know what the FBI and DOJ do for like a year? Redact them to congressional investigators and congressional men and women running the oversight of their agency. That's just one example. But it gets even better. Here's the deep state full circle. Just last week, do you know what Strzok and Page received from the Department of Justice?
What?
A $1.5 million payout.
Does this sound like the same
to
guy?
settle a lawsuit that Strzok and Page brought for the improper disclosure of their personal text messages on FBI phones.
Doesn't sound like the same guy to me.
And the DOJ just rewarded them. They broke the law. They broke the chain of command. They broke every regulation there is in the FBI. They weaponized the system of justice against a political target they hated. We found those text messages, and we got them declassified finally in full when I became Deputy Director of National Intelligence. And the world has now seen them, and they can read them.
I mean, I got another clip right here. Listen, does this sound like the same guy?
And then when we go back to DOJ and FBI, we still don't have all the list, all the FISAs, all of the stuff they did to 275,000 Americans illegally in 1 year. Put that out there. I'm not saying put in the recipe on how to do it. We can keep the hood on the engine, but we can show the American people how they violated our rights. And
show the American people. Well, now you're just saying, well, I'm qualified. So I know people may disagree with me, but I'm qualified to tell you that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself or that he killed himself. That's what they're saying.
To me, what you said is the most important. Restoring trust.
Yes.
In our agencies and departments.
Restoring trust.
The way to do that is not to get a piñata and just punch him mercilessly and hoping for some bubble gum to pop out. The way to do that is to literally give the American people the truth. And that's what they feared about Donald Trump. He's going to come in there and maybe give him the Epstein list and maybe give him the P. Diddy list. You know, he's going to come up there and maybe do all of these things, and they are terrified.
Yeah, I believe that's part of the reason why Jimmy Kimmel was crying last night on his program. But also, I believe that this is something that the American public desperately want. And most importantly, this is how you restore honor and how you restore trust. Now, many may not know, some will, that you are personally responsible for the research on the Russiagate collusion. Everything we know about Russiagate, and we know maybe like less than.
So, you know, this just does not sound like the same guy, Kash Patel. Just doesn't. And it's disappointing, to say the least. It's really disappointing. I will repeat what I said. The majority of that interview they did was very good, and there was a lot of good information in there. They both understand how serious the Epstein situation is, and to answer it the way they answered it, I don't think that's good at all. I don't think it's good at all. So